A businessman just missed his connecting flight in Atlanta. Not because of delays, because TSA pulled him aside for 45 minutes. His mistake? Something 67% of travelers do without realizing it's a red flag. And it cost him a $12,200 same-day rebooking. What you're about to discover could save your next trip, because while you think you're following the rules, there are 7 hidden triggers that get you flagged every single time. Things that seem innocent but light up TSA's system like a Christmas tree. And the last one? It's so common that security officers say they catch it a dozen times per shift. Yet nobody warns you about it. In the next few minutes, you'll discover the packing mistake that guarantees a bag search. You'll learn why wearing the wrong clothes gets you selected for additional screening. And you'll find out about the document error that triggers immediate detention at customs. Mistake number 4 has already caused thousands of travelers to miss flights they can't get. Refunded. Number 5 involves something in your wallet right now that's a massive red flag. Stay till the end, because the final mistake is so subtle that even frequent flyers don't know they're doing it, and it could get you detained for hours. Mistake number 1. The layers trap. You're wearing a jacket, a hoodie underneath, maybe a vest. Seems practical for cold airports and warm destinations, right? Wrong. This is the number 1 reason people get pulled for additional screening. And here's why security hates it. Multiple layers set off every alarm in their protocol. TSA agents can't see your body outline clearly on the scanner. Each layer creates shadows and anomalies. Could be concealing weapons. Could be hiding contraband. They don't know. So they pull you aside, every time, without fail. But here's where it gets worse. If those layers have zippers, buttons, or metal details, you're getting the full pat-down. One traveler wore a jacket, hoodie, and flannel shirt, all with metal zippers, pulled aside at 3 different airports in one day. Same outfit, same result, 15 minutes of screening at each checkpoint. And this is creating massive delays during peak travel. Security officers say the worst offenders are people flying internationally who dress for their destination climate. Flying to Alaska in winter. They're wearing everything they own to avoid checked bag fees. 4 shirts, 2 jackets, a scarf. TSA sees a walking red flag. But here's what makes this frustrating. You think you're being smart, saving luggage space, staying comfortable, but you're actually guaranteeing a delay. One flight attendant said she sees passengers pulled aside for layers on every single flight. The solution? Wear 1 comfortable layer. Pack everything else. Your time is worth more than the 3 minutes it takes to dig a jacket out of your bag later. But the next mistake is hiding in your carry-on right now. Mistake number 2. The forgotten water bottle. You finished your water, bottle before security. It's empty, completely dry. So you toss it in your bag thinking it's fine. And that's exactly when TSA pulls your entire bag for inspection. Because empty water bottles are screening magnets. Here's why this triggers every time. Water bottles show up on X-ray scanners as dense objects, even empty ones. The scanner can't always tell if there's liquid residue, can't tell if you're trying to hide something inside the bottle, so they flag it, pull your bag, make you open everything while a line of annoyed travelers stares at you. But here's where it becomes a nightmare. If that bottle is buried deep in your bag under clothes and electronics, you're unpacking everything on a metal table, laptop out, toiletries out, clothes everywhere. One woman had a reusable water bottle at the bottom of her bag. Took 10 minutes to find it. She missed boarding. The gate agent wouldn't let her on. Non-refundable ticket gone. And this happens thousands of times daily. Security. Checkpoints report water bottles as the single most common item causing bag searches. The metal ones are worse because they're completely opaque on scanners. TSA sees a dense cylinder and assumes the worst. One officer said he pulls at least 20 bags per shift just for water bottles. But here's what nobody tells you about the liquid rule. It's not just full bottles. It's any container that could hold liquid. That empty shampoo bottle, flag. That protein shaker, flag. Even collapsible water bottles folded up trigger inspection because agents can't tell what they are. The solution is simple, but people ignore it. Drink your water before the checkpoint and toss the bottle in recycling, or pack it in checked luggage. But never put any bottle, empty or full, in your carry-on unless you want to explain yourself to someone with a badge and gloves. But what comes next is about what you're wearing on your feet. Mistake number 3. The footwear fiasco. You're wearing boots, or high tops, or shoes with thick soles. Seems normal, right? But here's what's happening. Those shoes are red flags that guarantee additional screening, and most travelers have no idea. Here's why security targets your footwear. Thick-soled shoes can conceal materials that don't show up on scanners. Weapons, drugs, electronics. The infamous shoe bomber from 2001 is why we still remove shoes at American airports. And TSA hasn't forgotten. Boots with any kind of heel or platform? You're getting extra attention. But here's where it gets specific. Steel-toed work boots are the worst offenders. They light up scanners like fireworks. The steel cap looks like a weapon on X-ray. One construction worker flying home for Christmas got pulled aside at every checkpoint for a week. Same boots, same problem. Finally started packing them and wearing sneakers through security. And this extends beyond just work boots. High-fashion shoes with metal decorations, platform sneakers, and anything with excessive buckles or chains, all red flags. One woman wore studded designer boots through LAX, pulled aside, full pat-down, boots hand-inspected, missed her flight by 5 minutes. The gate was literally closing as she ran up. But here's what makes this mistake costly. The inspection takes time because they have to verify the shoes are safe. Can't just glance at them. Have to swab for explosives. Sometimes, hand-inspect the interior. One security officer said platform shoes take 3 minutes minimum to clear because they have to check every angle. And here's the pattern frequent travelers know. Wear simple, thin-soled shoes through security. Slip-ons are ideal. No laces to untie. No thick soles to inspect. Save the boots and fancy footwear for after you clear the checkpoint. One business traveler keeps airport shoes in his carry-on specifically for this reason. Changes before security, changes after. Hasn't been pulled aside in 3 years. But the next mistake involves something you think is helping you. Mistake number 4. The overpacked carry-on disaster. Your carry-on is stuffed to the absolute limit. Makes sense. You're avoiding checked bag fees. But that overstuffed bag is a guaranteed flag for inspection. And here's why security hates it. Densely packed bags are impossible to scan properly. The X-ray can't penetrate through layers of tightly compressed items. Everything overlaps on the screen. Could be clothes, could be weapons. TSA can't tell. So they pull your bag and make you unpack the entire thing while everyone watches. But here's where it becomes humiliating. You're at a metal table, pulling out your underwear, your medications, your personal items. Everything you carefully packed is now on display. One traveler said unpacking her overstuffed bag took 15 minutes. By the time she repacked and got to her gate, boarding was closed. $800 ticket wasted. And this is creating massive checkpoint bottlenecks. Security officers say overpacked bags are the second leading cause of delays after liquids. The scanning queue backs up because one bag takes 5 minutes to manually inspect. Then they have to wait while you repack. Meanwhile, 50 people behind you are missing connections. But here's the specific trigger they look for. Electronics buried in clothes. Tablets sandwiched between jeans. Chargers wrapped in shirts. All of these create suspicious shadows on X-ray. One officer said if he can't immediately identify every item in a bag, it's coming out for inspection. And overpacked bags fail that test every time. Here's what smart travelers do differently. Pack strategically with electronics in accessible pockets. Leave some airspace so items aren't compressed together. Use packing cubes to separate categories. One frequent flyer swears by the loose pack method. Everything has room to shift. His bag has never been pulled in 200 flights. But wait until you hear about the document mistake that's getting people detained. Mistake number 5. The boarding pass. Catastrophe. You screenshot your boarding pass and think you're good to go, or you fold your printed pass into your pocket. Seems fine until you get to the gate and everything falls apart. Because damaged, unclear, or digital boarding passes are causing massive problems in 2020. 6. Here's what's happening at checkpoints. TSA and gate agents are using new scanning technology that requires crisp, clear barcodes. A folded boarding pass with a creased barcode won't scan. A screenshot with screen glare won't scan. A boarding pass with low phone brightness won't scan. And when it won't scan, you're getting pulled aside for manual verification. But here's where it becomes a nightmare. Manual verification takes 10 minutes minimum. They have to look up your reservation, verify your identity, check you against the flight manifest. One passenger's folded boarding pass wouldn't scan at 3 different checkpoints. By the time they manually verified him at the gate, the plane door was closed. Non-refundable international ticket, 2,000 gone. And this is getting worse with mobile boarding passes. Airlines are pushing digital passes, but if your phone dies, you're stuck. If your screen is cracked over the barcode, it won't scan. If you're using an older phone with a dim screen, scanners can't read it. One woman's phone died at the gate. Couldn't board until they manually verified her. Took 25 minutes. Everyone on the plane was waiting and glaring at her. But here's the specific issue with screenshots. Airlines update boarding passes in real time. Gate changes, seat changes, departure time changes. A screenshot doesn't update. You show up at the wrong gate with outdated information. Security has to sort it out. One traveler showed a screenshot from the night before. The flight had been moved to a different gate and delayed 2 hours. He was at the old gate, getting pulled aside for documentation mismatch. Here's what professionals do to avoid this. Keep boarding. Passes in the airline app, not screenshots. Keep phone charged above 50%. Print a backup paper pass at the kiosk as insurance. Never fold paper passes. Keep them flat in a document holder. One flight attendant keeps her passes in a clear plastic sleeve. Never been delayed for scanning issues in 15 years. But the next mistake is in your wallet right now. Mistake number 6. The expired ID trap. Your driver's license expired 2 months ago, or your passport expired last month. You think it's fine because you can still use it for identification. Wrong. Expired documents are immediate red flags that get you pulled aside, and sometimes arrested. Here's why this is more serious than people realize. TSA requires valid government-issued ID. The word valid means current and unexpired. An expired license is legally not valid identification. You might get through domestic security with some arguing, but you're definitely getting pulled aside for verification. And international travel. Forget it. You're not leaving the country. But here's where people get blindsided. Your license expires on your birthday. But you forget because you don't check it regularly. You show up at the airport 6 months after your birthday with an expired ID. TSA pulls you aside, starts asking questions, verifies your identity through alternative means. Takes 30 to 45 minutes. One man missed his sister's wedding because of this exact scenario. And international travel is even harsher. Your passport expires. You're not boarding. Period. Airlines won't even let you check in. You find out at the ticket counter that your passport expired 3 months ago. The trip you've been planning for a year? Cancelled. No refund. No rebooking. One family lost $8,000 on a European vacation because dad's passport expired 6 weeks prior. But here's the cruel part. Some countries require passports valid for 6 months beyond your travel date. Your passport expires in 4 months. Technically valid. But certain destinations won't let you in. You get pulled aside at customs, detained, put on the next flight home. One couple landed in Thailand and got immediately deported because their passports expired in 5 months. The 6-month rule denied them entry. Here's what you must do before any trip. Check your ID expiration date when you book travel. Put a calendar reminder to renew 30 days before expiration. For international travel, check the destination country's passport validity requirements. Some require 3 months, some 6 months, some even more. One frequent traveler checks all documents the night before every trip without exception. But the final mistake is so subtle, even experienced travelers miss it. Because what you're about to hear is something that seems completely innocent, something you do without thinking. But it's triggering red flags at every checkpoint in America. TSA officers say they catch this mistake at least a dozen times per shift. It's not about what you pack or wear or carry. It's about how you behave. And this behavior mistake is getting people detained, questioned, and missing flights at record rates. One security expert said this single mistake causes more secondary screening than any physical item. And the most frustrating part? You might be doing it right now without realizing it. Because this mistake isn't on any TSA prohibited items list. It's not in any travel guide, but it's destroying trips every single day. Mistake number 7, the nervous behavior trap. You're anxious about your flight, checking your watch constantly, fidgeting with your bag, looking around nervously. Seems normal when you're stressed about making your flight, right? Wrong. This nervous behavior is the #1 red flag for TSA agents, and it gets you pulled aside for questioning every single time. Here's why security is trained to watch for this. Nervous behavior is what people with something to hide display. Criminals get nervous. Smugglers get nervous. People breaking laws get nervous. And TSA officers are trained to spot these exact behaviors. Excessive fidgeting, avoiding eye contact, checking exits, sweating, heavy breathing. All red flags. But here's where innocent travelers get caught. You're nervous about missing your flight, or you hate flying, or you're anxious in crowds. Completely understandable. But TSA doesn't know that. They see someone displaying threat indicators. One anxiety-prone traveler gets pulled aside at 80% of checkpoints because she fidgets and avoids eye contact naturally. And here's what triggers immediate intervention: looking around constantly at security officers. That's a huge flag. Criminals case their environment. They watch for patterns. They look for weak points. You're just nervous and watching what's happening. But to trained officers, you look suspicious. One man got detained for 30 minutes because he kept glancing at TSA officers. He was just anxious. They thought he was casing the checkpoint. But here's the specific behavior that guarantees questioning: touching your pockets repeatedly. This screams, "I'm checking if contraband is still hidden." Could be innocent, checking your phone, wallet, keys. But TSA sees someone repeatedly confirming something is concealed. One woman kept patting her jacket pocket where her phone was. Pulled aside, questioned, full pat down. She was just making sure her phone didn't fall out. And then there's the last-minute decisions problem. People who hesitate at checkpoints get flagged. You stop suddenly. Change lines. Turn around. All suspicious behaviors to trained officers. One traveler realized he forgot to empty his pockets. Stopped right before the metal detector. Turned back to the bins. TSA thought he was trying to avoid screening. Detained for 20 minutes of questioning. Here's what you must understand about security psychology. They're looking for deviations from normal traveler behavior. Normal travelers are calm, cooperative, and efficient. They know the routine. They're not anxious about the process. Displaying anxiety makes you abnormal, and abnormal gets investigated. So here's how smart travelers handle checkpoints. Stay calm. Breathe normally. Make casual eye contact. Don't fidget. Don't repeatedly touch bags or pockets. Move through the process confidently. Even if you're nervous about flying, be calm about security. One business traveler with severe flight anxiety practices breathing exercises specifically for checkpoints. Hasn't been pulled aside in 5 years. These 7 mistakes are destroying trips daily. The layers that seem practical. The water bottle you thought was fine. The boots that look normal. The overstuffed bag saving fees. The boarding pass screenshot. The expired ID you didn't check. The nervous behavior you can't help. All of them are red flags. All of them get you pulled aside. All of them waste your time and risk your trip. The solution? Be strategic. Dress simply. Pack smartly. Keep documents current and accessible, and stay calm through the process. Security isn't there to ruin your trip. They're doing a job. But if you trigger their protocols, you're getting pulled aside, regardless of innocence. Check your documents before you book. Pack your carry-on loosely. Wear simple shoes and single layers. Keep your boarding pass in the app. Stay calm at checkpoints. These simple changes will keep you moving through security without delays. Hit that like button if this just saved your next trip. Subscribe for more travel tips that actually matter. And drop a comment. Which of these mistakes have you made? Have you been pulled aside for something you didn't know was a problem? Let's share experiences in the comments because learning from each other might save someone's vacation. Save someone's vacation. Save someone's vacation.